Hey guys, check it out. That is our new to us 2012 Porsche Cayenne Turbo. And, oh shoot, I forgot the obligatory used Cayenne starter kit. Now, all right, bro, this is my black on black Porsche Turbo. And in this video, I'm gonna show you why this is perfect for my Beverly Hills lifestyle. Oh, and by the way, my name is Chad. All right, so here is the dealio. These black Porsches are like super perfect for, freaking love kale. I love kale. But these black Porsches are like perfect for Hollywood Boulevard, and like all the big stars and artists drive them. Who wrote Shape of You and Ed Sherwin? Yeah, Ed Sherman. He would drive a black Porsche, and here's why. So I totally think that Mr. Sherbert would love this trunk. I mean, I can use my latte hand to open it up, and then it's got room for my soda stream, so I can have bubbly water anytime and always, because I always need my bubbly water with some raspberry, some blueberry, some blackberry, all of it. Got my bubbly water, and then, so I can like totally take my bubbly water container here and just slap it in the door pockets, because they've got these massive pockets. And then you'll notice everything's blacked out because screw the haters. Okay, so like not everything is perfect. I mean, one of the big issues is there's only one USB port because this thing is, well, like ancient. So I got my phone, but what about my other four? Well, Porsche actually thought of that. See, I mean, it's like an SUV, which is pretty rad. In the back, I can fit a generator because there's 63 cubic feet worth of stuff. And now I can power like all my phones and my hair dryer, and it's great. So like I fixed it. There comes a time in everyone's life when you realize you have to stop living your life one Facebook like at a time. Maybe it's time to get a real job, and that $22,000 Cayenne financed by your dad maybe actually isn't as impressive as you thought. And that's what we do here at TFL. We're breaking stereotypes, and we're going to talk about how that Cayenne is actually one of the most impressive used cars you can buy and is the world's fastest Overlander. See, although these second-gen Cayenne turbos are far better known for cruising Hollywood Boulevard than the Rubicon Trail, underneath there is a tremendous amount of off-road terrain. And no, I'm not talking about these 295 35 ZR21s. I'm talking about what's inside. See, just like the Volkswagen Touareg we have a series on, the Tough T, the Cayenne has a tremendous amount of off-road tech, and we'll start with this little switch right here. This is the switch for the height adjustable air suspension that in its highest setting will go up to 10.5 inches of ground clearance, which is pretty enormous. Take a look. Okay, so the height adjustable air suspension is pretty impressive, but a lot of vehicles have it. What makes this more off-road worthy? Well, it's the off-road mode. See, I flick the switch up once, it goes into a generic off-road setting, but I flick it up a second time and it locks the center diff lock. But I push it up a third time and it locks the center and the rear diff. So we have two lockers in a $130,000 Cayenne. See, the whole reason that this is just so crazy and impressive is that this Cayenne Turbo makes 500 horsepower and 516 pound-feet of torque. It'll do 177 miles per hour and it'll do 0 to 60 in 4.4 seconds according to Porsche, and yet it has nearly 11 inches of ground clearance and a rear differential lock. What? I just want to make this crystal clear at how dumbfounded I am that this Porsche, which costs as much as a fairly loaded 911 with 500 horsepower, has 2 diff locks and 11 inches of ground clearance. And in case there's any wonder that it's a real Porsche, it's got the same key as a 911. Heck, it even has the ignition switch here on the left. Now you're probably wondering, how much did this car cost us? Well, this example with 116,000 miles, $22,000, as much as a Toyota Corolla hatchback. And here's what you get for 22 grand. For $22,000, you get an airplane's worth of buttons here in the center console. Everything that could have a button does have a button, and they do some pretty wild stuff. Not only do you have 4 different climate zones, you also have heated and ventilated front seats. Even though this car is, 7 years old now, you still have a very decent infotainment system. It's all touchscreen, it's all pretty quick. Of course, navigation here, phone connectivity so you can stream Bluetooth audio, and this example has a Burmeister sound system, over 1,000 watt Burmeister sound system that is just glorious. For 22 grand, you also get this beautiful Porsche steering wheel. Of course, it's a heated steering wheel with anthracite birch throughout. And then you've got these incredible Porsche gauges with a tachometer in the center that says turbo. I love this little screen here on the right. It's completely configurable. So right now I have it in navigation, but I can scroll up and find turbo pressure and altitude and fuel range and all sorts of settings and trip information. I mean, this is technology you'd find in a brand new car. This example even has Distronic, which is this little sensor right here. That's the adaptive cruise control. And with these LED daytime running lights, honestly, it doesn't look all that different from a brand new $130,000 Cayenne Turbo. In the back seat, the story is exactly the same. And the general thought with this car is, if it could be covered in leather, it's covered in leather. The entire dash is nice and soft. Oh, there's one more thought in this car. If it could be covered in Alcantara, it's also going to be covered in Alcantara. So huge panoramic sunroof back here. Look, once again, another jet fighter's worth of buttons in the back seats. Everything from automatic temperature control to heated rear seats. And then we haven't even talked about one of the coolest things, which is the electric sunshades that rise and lower with the push of a button. There are a couple weird things about this particular Cayenne, and first and foremost, it's black on black on black. And my dad, Roman, hates black cars because they're hard to film, they always look dirty, it's just impossible in this job. So naturally the question arises, why did we get a black one? Well, there's a very good reason for that, and that's because honestly, quite honestly, the last 3 weeks of my life have been spent scouring the internet for Cayennes, because finding one with a locking rear diff is so incredibly rare. It's option 1Y in the build sheet, and I've seen probably 650 of them, individual listings, and I've run VIN analytics on probably 325 of those, and it's just impossible to find. But this one does have the locking rear diff. Now, those of you that may really know Cayennes may also recognize a couple other things about this example. First of all, it's a second gen, which came out in 2011, and the second gens don't have a low range transfer case. What they have instead is an 8-speed automatic where the first gear is especially short, so you can crawl, you can tow off-road with precision. But the first gens could be had with a low range transfer case and a locking rear diff, and a skid plate group. And you're probably wondering, why didn't we get one of those? Well, there are two reasons for it. The first reason is we already have a Touareg, a first gen Touareg, which is basically the same car underneath. And the second reason for it is those are even rarer. I probably saw another 400 of those cars, and of the 400 I found, my dad saw another 300, only one had the locking rear diff and the skid plate package. They just simply do not exist out there. Plus, they're also less powerful and arguably less fun than these second gens, so this is the one we went with. There's also another issue with these old Cayenne turbos, and while this one is 22 grand and luckily everything, and I mean everything, works on it, there is a little slot right here in the dashboard, and with that slot you can take money and just deposit it straight into the car. Avoid the repair shop altogether, because when this car breaks, and I bet it will break at some point, might as well just do that, because it's going to be so expensive to fix. So 22 grand to get into the thing, but you know, drive it 10,000 miles, figure you're going to have to put a few $1,000s into it here and there. So what's our plan with this triple black Cayenne? Well, first of all, we're going to take it off-road and push the limits, because that's what we do here at TFL. But we actually have some other exciting stuff in store, because in the previous generation Cayenne, they did a very limited run, only about 600 units, of something called the Trans-Siberian, which is kind of like the Porsche version of the Land Rover Camel Trophy. And those ones were black and bright orange with bright orange wheels and some off-road goodies. Now, first and foremost, these wheels and tires, they have to go. These are 21s and they're not gonna work off-road, and I can't even begin to get an off-road tire for them. So the previous owner actually supplied us with a set of 19-inch wheels, which is the smallest you can go on a turbo, and we're gonna get a set of chunky off-road tires, and we're gonna put the Trans-Siberian graphics alongside, but of course we're not in Siberia, we're in Colorado. So this is gonna be the Porsche Cayenne Trans Rockies edition. It's gonna look really cool with the orange stripes along the side, some orange accessing in the front, maybe some roof lights like the original had. And then we're gonna go a step further, because even though this extremely rare one has rear diff lock, it's missing the optional skid plate group, which included a skid plate in the front, one in the rear, and even some side protection. So we're gonna go to Porsche, see if we can buy a set of skid plates for this thing, and then we're gonna beat the snot out of our 500 horsepower Porsche off-road in Colorado, and of course in Moab, Utah. So stay tuned to see if our poor 22 grand Cayenne Turbo will take the off-road abuse, or if we're gonna end up completely broke and out of money. As always, go back to tflcar.com for more news, views, and real-world Porsche Cayenne Trans Rockies reviews. This is gonna be a fun one.